Hi, we're back. We had a little technical difficulty there and we went silent for a while. So we're going to try to recap what we were talking about because it was pretty interesting. We were, at least to me it was. I don't know. Maybe some of the other guys here didn't think it was interesting, but I did. So what was your point, Nick?
Well, we played a video earlier. You might have seen it about some incident that happened at a Twitch event in security and how fast the guy got there, didn't get there. Having been in the industry, we thought the reaction time was appropriate. But we also got into the discussion about how video cameras all over the place have kind of changed people's behavior and what they do and how they do things. That video that we showed at the beginning showed a security guard take a guy and push him away, where 20 years ago, before they had all these video cameras and body cams, security guards probably would have taken that guy and thrown him into a wall, danced on his head, and then thrown him into the alley, where there would have been no cameras and nobody would have been any wiser. But you can't do that anymore. And now it kind of modifies everybody's behavior. Roy brought up the fact about police officers and firemen and paramedics. They got cameras in the back of the ambulances. They got cameras. I mean, every time I get a video of somebody getting arrested, I get a video of them sitting in the back of their squad car, handcuffed just on the ride, bouncing around, because cameras are everywhere.
Yeah.
Cameras are everywhere.
And then I was talking about how things were different. I was building up on Nick's proposition that back in the day, this guy would have been handled differently. So I brought up an Aragon episode where the fire marshal's major thrust on the promoters at the Aragon was that they would cut the power to the Aragon and stop the show if there were no fire aisles kept. Now, this was before general admission took the chairs away. So we had folding chairs that we would set up before the show would start, and we would leave two huge aisles that would go from the stage back to the back, and then one cross aisle right around the soundboard. Now, it was our duty to keep those aisles free. Well, there was a drug that was very popular at the time. It was called ludes or methaqualone, whichever way, or soapers, or a number of different names for it. It was a hypnotic, not quite a barbiturate. It was called a hypnotic. It had qualities like a barbiturate, but it didn't upset your stomach like a barbiturate did. That was the reason that they invented it. Okay, and the thing is, it becomes synergistic, if you know what that term meant, if you do alcohol of any kind while you're under the influence of this drug. So naturally at the Aragon, the guys who would down the methaqualone or the Quaaludes, they would go to the Kazabar, which would give them $5 buckets of beer. The buckets were in popcorn buckets, unwaxed, so they would wilt if you didn't drink them fast enough. So these people would squeeze the buckets, make a funnel out of them, and then pour it down their throats. And of course, a lot of it ended up on newly waxed hardwood floor, which made it very slippery. So what that meant is every time you hit somebody, your feet fell out from underneath you and you ended up on the ground. So you had to have real good balance and real good control of your punches. We would have tons of these looted up people that would clog the aisle. They would just come like Night of the Living Dead zombies. They would walk slowly. They wouldn't be looking at you face to face. They'd be looking at the stage. They'd be mesmerized. They'd be maybe doing the Aryan cheer, the right fist up in the air along with the beat. And they wouldn't be paying attention to anything you said, anything you did. You could take a flashlight and go like this in front of their face and say, you got to get out of the aisle. And they made off like they had no idea you were in front of them. So you'd end up having to push, and then they'd push back at you. And then you'd give them a harder shove, and then they would take a swing. But here's the problem. If you're looted up, you swing in slow motion. So you're given that, by the time the arc of your punch is coming across, you can get 3 or 4 in, and the guy's on the ground. But he gets back up.
Well, they always get back up. Anybody we talked about, anybody that's under the influence of something to an excess, whether it's alcohol, PCP, Quaaludes. I mean, I found the Quaalude people, to me, they were easier because they were just like Jello. They were just like, okay, just go here, and they'd flop around and whatnot. The PCP people, the acid people, they were just out of it. They didn't know what was going on.
Acid was the worst.
Yeah.
Because they'd be freaking out.
They don't know when they're hurt. They don't know when to stop. It doesn't register in their brain because they don't feel the pain. They're not feeling.
Well, in the case of acid, it goes beyond not feeling the pain. It's into the panic stage.
So
they don't know what's real and what isn't real, and you could be a monster as far as they're concerned.
One of my favorite concert stories in the 35 years I did them, it was we were doing the Dead at Rosemont, and there was a guy that was completely naked that had crapped all over himself that was running through the concourse, and he was coming by us. We got the radio, and you and I trapped him into a corner. So now he's standing there in a corner, and he's looking for a way out, and the paramedics are there, and people are standing there, and the cops are going, I'm not touching this guy. He's got crap all over him. So you grabbed the sheet off of the paramedic gurney. You gave me one end. I took the other end, and we stretched it out. We ran towards the guy. He ran into the sheet. We mummified him
up like a taco.
Put him on the thing, and he was gone because he had no clue what was going on. And if you were going to try to force him, reason with him, fight with him, do everything with him, it was going to be bad.
Yeah,
it was going to be
him.
bad. Yeah,
and possibly for you.
And for us too. How many times have guys gotten hurt just trying to?
Well, they scratch. That's what people don't realize. I mean, people who are freaking out on a hallucinogen, they don't punch. They kick and scratch and bite. That's what they do. Okay, we took a girl out from the Aragon once. We had 4 guys take her out, 1 on each limb. She couldn't have been more than 16, 17 years old. She was a contortionist. I had her left arm, okay, and I had it by the elbow and the wrist. Now, she wasn't big. I mean, maybe 100 pounds, okay? She got herself so contorted that she was able to bite my thigh while 4 of us were holding her down. And I had to squeeze the back of her neck for her to let loose of my thigh. She made me bleed through blue jeans, okay?
That's a good bite.
So I'll tell you, it can be dangerous. You can underestimate your opponent, in this field really easily.
So the topic of the day as we were starting out was
how do you identify yourself?
Identify.
Right.
Which as an old person, I don't get. Okay? I just don't get. Who do I identify as? And people now just seem to want to identify with whatever their mind conjures up.
I think it started out sexually. Do I identify as my birth gender, or do I identify as an acquired gender?
No, I think it happened before that.
I think that the difference is, we talked earlier about the 60s and 70s. People wanted to belong. So we could talk a couple months ago about greasers and dupers or whatever, okay? Today, people seem to feel that they have to identify themselves to be as outlandish as possible. They want to leave a memorable event, and they're individualized.
Look at me.
That's right. And so it's all about the ego-id situation that we have now.
Are they lost? Do they feel unappreciated? Underappreciated? Unrecognized? Invisible? There you go. Invisible. I'm invisible. But if I wear this costume...
What was that? Bert from that soap? He did like this and he made himself invisible.
Yeah,
he
thought he was invisible.
Yeah,
right.
Right. Yeah, Bert, we can still see you.
Yes.
And that is the sad reality of it is, I think, and we've talked about this in other episodes about transgenderism and whatnot, is people are believing that just because they say that they are something, that they are that person or they are that thing. Furries, I'm fluid. Today I'm going to be a man. Tomorrow I'm
But
going to be
are they
nothing.
saying
and
I feel like a cat or I am a cat?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know what they do.
It depends on the individual. Some are a cat, and literally, people have died because they tried to do things that they think a cat can do.
Climb a tree?
Climb a tree, jump from one roof to another roof, and they drop in between.
Didn't the guy that played Superman in the 50s die because he tried to fly out of a window?
Fly
Yeah.
out of a window.
Okay. I mean, did his reality, did his imagination
Well, the
take
original
over his
Superman,
reality?
didn't he commit suicide? Gunshot wound, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The guy on TV, the TV Superman.
Steve Reeves.
Yeah, Steve Reeves.
Yeah.
No, not Steve Reeves.
Christopher-
George
Chris-
Reeves.
George Reeves. It was George Reeves, yeah.
Reeves.
So
That was the 50s they made.
you know, you
Steve Reeves was Hercules.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that a lot of what this is a person. I see this as a young person phenomenon that's going on. I think a lot of people that are doing this having identification issues, they're not people in their 40s and 50s. They're probably people in their early to mid 20s and younger. Okay.
So who do they threaten?
I don't know if it's not a question of threatening. I just think that there's a bunch of parents out there, and the way that people parent their child is a lot of parents don't hold their kids to norms. Okay, no, you're not going to walk around and think you're a cat. No, you're not going to just say, today I'm going to be this and tomorrow I'm going to be that. Okay, they just want them allowed to be their individual person and to go through life and express their individuality. And it's like, you know what? Nobody really cares about your individuality. The world is a big, mean place, and nobody really gives a crap about you. If you want to do what you want to do in your room, in your house, with your friends, that's great. But once you come into my house, or you come onto my street, or you come into my neighborhood and say, you have to accept what I am as a norm in the society, and I'm like, no, I don't. I'm sorry, and I'm not going to. All right?
It's okay, but that's what you think. But it's what you do. Okay? I mean, so if you don't want them, or want them in your reality, or you don't want to accept them in your reality, what is your modus operandi then? You make sure that you're excluding from them, that you move to a neighborhood where they're not allowed? I mean, how do you keep them out of your universe?
I think it all depends on the situation that you're in, and every fact pattern's different, so your reaction is going to be different. You can't just say that,
Well, that's the crux of the biscuit. That's what these kids are getting at.
Well, they want you. What I'm seeing is a large part of society wanting to tell you, me, have to accept my reality.
My self-concept.
My reality.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're telling you.
And I'm telling you, no, I don't. Okay? Because you know why? Right. Because you're not accepting mine.
Well,
see, you're not accepting my reality. My reality is you're not going to act like a dog and go crap on my lawn. Okay?
They'll come back with, I live in your reality.
I don't care what they... Yeah, you are living in my reality, and my reality is you're not going to pull your pants down and crap on my lawn because you think you're a dog. Okay? That's not going to happen.
Well, yeah.
Because
that's breaking the social norm.
Oh, but again, it's your norm. It's not my norm.
No,
my
that's
norm
a
is being
social
the dog.
norm.
Okay, so now we're getting into what is a social norm and what isn't.
That's exactly where we're at.
And what I'm seeing is they're trying to do is telling you, your norm is bad, your norm is weird, your old white,
telling you need
patriarchal,
to expand your norm.
No, they're telling you your old white patriarchal norm is passe.
You're taking it way too personal.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not, because this is what I hear.
You're feeling threatened.
Danny, you take it. I'm trying to tell you that what I hear them say is you have to accept this. Mm-hmm. And by you telling me that I have to accept it, that you're infringing on my norm.
But they can tell you anything they want to. That doesn't mean you have to accept it.
Well, I have to accept it if I allow them to come in and crap on my lawn.
I think this
you
goes
don't
to
have
the
to accept that either.
I think this goes to the core.
Then what do I do?
Huh?
Then what do I do?
Call the police. They can't defecate in your lawn. It's
See, I think
socially unacceptable.
This goes to the core of what we're actually seeing with this day-long presentation by Pete Hegseth, with being the head of the director of war or something in this sense. He has,
God of War.
God of whatever. He has
Department.
indicated that he is
War Department.
eliminating that individuality that the military was going to, and looking more at singularness of purpose, and look at removing all of this individualism and making everyone carbon copies to get the job done. And his point was, we have a mission. This isn't about you. This is about our mission. And so we're going to get rid of the dresses that you're wearing. You are not going to be like MASH. You're going to be focused on what you're doing here. And I think that, the point that's gone on is, I think we've lost self-discipline in many ways. We don't teach that self-discipline.
And that's what I was getting to earlier about parenting, is parents are not
Right.
teaching their kids to be self-disciplined. You talked about earlier about your grandkids, that the first thing they do when they come over is they go right to YouTube and watch videos on
They're learning how to play a
how to
game.
beat the video game. Okay, now, do they have the self-discipline to say, you know what, I'm not going to sit in front of this camera, this TV for the next 5 hours. I'm going to go out and shoot baskets, or I'm going to go play catch with my brother, or I'm going to go do something a little bit more constructive. So if
All
we
of those
allow them,
things-
if we allow them to sit in front of the cameras for 5 hours, they're not going to have, as they grow up, have the discipline to say, I need to turn this off and get to my job.
B.F. Skinner would say you would never make a child psychologist. Because you do need to have a stimulation that they will be amenable to, okay? And to say you need to be self-disciplined and go play basketball instead of watching this video game is not something in their wheelhouse, okay? It's not what makes them more stimulated. What they choose to be more stimulated at is what you need to channel, okay? Not direct them away from. You need to channel them into it. That's why I said if these creators of these massive video games, if a 15-year-old kid can capture these 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids for hours on something that 15-year-old kid posted on YouTube, you can't tell me that we don't have any geniuses that can't turn that around and make it educational.
Well, but do the kids want educational? Number one.
They
Number
can make
two,
it in a way that it is. Remember we played a Risk board, okay, a board game named Risk. Did you like that game?
Yeah.
Did you like that game? I played it for hours, okay, because it was a game that you could play for hours. It taught me how to spell Kamchatka, okay?
Okay. It's not that I'm against kids playing video games or watching videos, but when something becomes overly obsessive, when you go past what I don't want to say child psychologist, but when it gets to the point where it mesmerizes a kid to the point where he doesn't want to do anything else, that he doesn't want to spend time with his grandfather. Come on, get in the car. We're going to the hardware store and figuring this stuff out. I'm going to sit here and play videos. Okay, then it becomes a little bit of a problem. To get back to what Roy's point was, is we don't have a lot of self-discipline in younger people. I see it all the time. Okay.
You see self-discipline?
I see a
It's a
lack
lack.
of
There's a
self-discipline.
lack of it.
Yeah. Okay, I do. They just don't. They've been coddled. They've been like, oh, it's okay. You
What
don't
was
need
some
to
of
do
your
this.
self-discipline when you were 11, 12, 13? How did you self-discipline?
I was told that I needed to do
No,
this.
that's somebody told you.
Then
How
that-
did
but
you
that
self-discipline?
created
That's
my
part of the
self.
self-discipline.
I didn't know what self-discipline was. I was taught what self-discipline was. Okay, I had to I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. Yes, on the weekends we had to clean the bathrooms. We had to clean our rooms. We had to wash the windows. That was what we did before we could go anywhere or do anything. Those are the things that we needed to do. But then when I became older and I had my own house, and people would come over to my house and they go, "You got a great, God, this place is so clean. You got a great cleaning lady. Who's your
follow
cleaning
that
lady?"
pattern.
I'm like, "Here's your cleaning lady right here.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody come in and clean my stuff. I'm the one that cleans my bathrooms. I'm the one that dusts my tables. I'm the one that does my dishes. I mowed my lawn."
So you're saying
So
that your experience is lately has been that some parents or a great deal of parents don't provide that specific disciplinary structure to their kids.
When you allow, and we can jump into the transgender thing or whatever, but when you have parents say, it's okay that my 8-year-old identifies as a cat, okay? No.
But how many people do that?
But it's more and more. Danny, we talked about the self-identity and the furry phenomenon. Now, like
Yeah,
30
he brought
years
it
ago.
to light.
30 years ago, did you know about furries?
No,
Okay. You know about them now, don't you?
absolutely.
Because they're all over the place,
And
right?
their social media.
And their social media. But they're all over the place now. We got furry conventions. I took my kid to a college visit, and there was a furry parade walking down the street as we were having lunch. Okay?
It's just something to do.
They're
outrageous, okay?
But that's not my
But again,
point.
that's that
not my point.
individuality of being
That's not
identified
my
as
point.
outrageous.
My point is I believe
Hippies in the 60s liked to be outrageous. They did outrageous things.
Yeah, but they did them as a group. was
Okay, well,
different.
these guys are doing it as a
no,
group
there's
too.
more
That's for
individual that
If
now
you-
they found a group to be a part of.
Yeah. I mean, it's a belonging issue.
But we wouldn't be saying furries or Furbies if they weren't a group. Okay?
But see, hippies were a class.
No, you-
It was an entire group. The furries are more individualized. They're more worried about what character they are or what person they are. The
No, it's
hippies
more
are-
it's more personal. I
it's very
agree with
personal,
that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's more of a personal thing. I see it as nobody thinks they see me, you know, and I'm going to make sure.
Oh no, I think it's the opposite. I think I
I'm
want
going to make sure
everybody.
you're going to see
Well, yeah,
me.
but
I want-
he's saying,
okay.
he's saying
I'm
the opposite.
getting a lack of
Yeah.
attention. I'm going to make sure that you pay attention to me.
That's
See-
actually pretty much dead on what John in your chat is going on about. Is he put a few comments in here for you guys. For one, he put a quick anecdote. An officer recently pulled over a man who claimed to be a cat. When asked for his driver's license, the man produced a cat collar and tag. The officer advised him that he would have to come to animal control and get rabies shots and probably neutered. He said trying to be something completely different is more often than not a cry for attention. Not always, and not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
I wanna ask John a
I saw
question.
John. I saw that video. I think that video is a setup, but that's okay. I think that's a setup video, but I did see that.
What, the one he showed
The,
us?
the one that John just
No,
referred
you just
to.
referred to.
You referred to.
I didn't see that one.
Because the camera is from the passenger side. So if
Yeah.
that was going on, that passenger was like, yeah, we're not getting arrested. We're getting out of here. So I think that's a setup.
okay.
Yeah, it was-
That's a lot of
I
these
got a
videos
question
are.
for you, John.
But I agree with his second point, by the way. John, I agree with your second point. It is a
went-
cry for attention.
You went to Downers Grove South. There's somebody that has contacted me on Facebook that told me that she remembered me from being a social worker there in the Downers Grove High School. And she was about the same age as you. Her name was Denise
Whoa,
Richards.
whoa. Don't be giving out names.
Well, her name is Denise Richards.
Okay.
She is a movie star.
Hmm.
Okay, that Denise Richards.
Okay.
Okay, do you recall her at all?
Well, as we're waiting
Well,
for John
he's
to
never
tap,
gonna
to
recall.
tap his
Anyway.
answers, my point earlier was what you're seeing in a lot of this behavior is kids that as they were growing up weren't given the discipline, weren't given the direction, weren't given. So now their mindset is that I can go and do this, and you have to accept it because my mom and dad did. My mom and dad didn't make me do this. My mom and dad didn't make. My mom and dad let me act like this or act like that. So.
Well, I
you.
think here's I think the other issue.
Okay.
I think that if we take and roll this clock back to the late 30s into the 40s, a great vast majority of men, for the most part, were part of the military. And if anyone has gone through basic, it's created a very intense self-discipline. Even if that didn't happen at home, it sure happened by the time you were 18 and in the military. And we saw that then as it moved into Korea in the 50s, Vietnam in the 60s. And we continued to do it. Now we have kids who really were not in a country that was under arms. I mean, even what happened in the early 2000s was really handled by reserves and National Guard that was still making that as a career. A very small part, maybe 3% of the entire population of our country. And I think that that's different. I mean, I always noted that when I ran a shift in the fire department. I knew who had been in the military and who hadn't been in the military by the way they reacted. And you know what it was? Like clockwork.
Well, in the fire department, you would know by the way they made their bed.
That's exactly right. And
Shine
by
their
the time they
shoes.
got up and shined
Shine
their
their
shoes and
shoes.
got out. And that's exactly, but not only that, just in the fact that they were motivated. They didn't come in and have coffee first. They went and they checked the rig because they knew at 8:01 if there was a call coming in and they got something from the other shift that wasn't going to work, they were going to look like fools on the street. So they came and they checked that rig out before they went and got their cup of coffee. Today, that's the big problem. In fact, I just left talking to the chief in the department. He said they come in and they have to have their latte, as he calls it. And after they're done with the latte, then they mosey on down. And this could be about 8:30. And by then, they could have had 3 calls come down, you know?
So, talking about this individuality thing, and you brought it up earlier, but when we were dark about tattoos, okay? Everybody's got tattoos now. And it's almost like got tattoos.
Okay.
And it's like a rite of passage now that young people are getting tattoos.
Nose rings.
The whole thing, okay?
Body piercing.
Face tattoos, you name it. I mean,
Clit
it's more and
slits.
more. I think it's now like 40% of the population. The population in this state has a tattoo, which is pretty significant.
I had this argument with a young kid once, and he said, "Were you circumcised?" I didn't know what to say.
What's that got to do with it?
At that point, I said I had nothing to say about it.
I don't get the correlation.
Well, I was bodily mutilated.
We're not talking about I'm not talking about bodily mutilated.
Well, that's what a tattoo is, or or
what I'm
a
trying,
nose ring.
The point I'm trying to make is it's a form of them identifying who they are. This is me. I believe in this, and I have the flames on my arm because the world is blowing up, and I
And
care
they want to
about
talk about it with everybody.
Right. Okay.
You want to see what I got.
It's expressing their quote individuality that I can have a ring here or a ring here because I am me. Okay. I don't think they do it for aesthetics. I think they do it. A lot of them
To get attention.
Well, they not only to get attention, but now if you ask somebody like, "What's that tattoo?" They're gonna, "Oh, this means this, and this means this, and this means that, and this means it." They are wearing their identity on their bodies,
Right, and they're willing to explain it
because they can't live it, and they can't explain it. So they have to put it on. They have to put on the costume.
Yeah.
They have to put on the nose ring. They have to put on, and don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing people that have tattoos. I mean, at one point, an earring, you know what that meant?
No, you're gay.
No,
Depending on which year.
no. It means you crossed around the Sea of Good Hope you crossed South America.
Right.
And you got a ring in your ear as a sailor.
Oh, I don't
that's how
remember.
it's.
That's
That's how it
And that's
started.
why when you saw the rings in the sailor's ear, you know they went around Cape
2
Horn.
or 3 times.
I'm not that. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Well, but the point being is now it evolved. Yeah, left
Gotcha,
was right.
gotcha.
Earrings, left was right, and right was wrong. And then now everybody's got 2 earrings.
Yeah,
so you know.
as far as I can remember with earrings, it was a 70s thing, whether you
The
had
rock and
one
rollers.
in one ear or the other
Yeah,
ear.
left was right and right was wrong. So if you put it in your left ear, you were not gay. If you put it in your right ear, you were.
You were gay.
Right.
Gotcha.
And it was a rock and roll thing. I mean, I remember back in the days.
And then there was
going to get
handkerchiefs in the back pocket if it was on the right pocket sticking out or on the left pocket sticking out.
But
all these ways to identify yourself. You
But
know?
again, it's the need to identify yourself.
But
seems
why?
To be, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why a generation of kids, maybe 2, have this need to identify as or with something.
Something.
Like being just a normal everyday person is not good enough. Okay? It's
But then
not
you
good
have
enough.
that old woman that has herself looking like a lion. You know, did all those facial things. She was no spring chicken. She's around our age.
Well,
you know?
you mean the lady that had the 90 million
Yes,
plastic surgeries?
Yeah, and
That's
to make
what-
herself look like a cat.
I think that was more insecurity than
Yeah.
identification. I think that's the second part of some of this stuff is probably insecurity. John alluded to it. Is they're insecure and they need attention from somewhere and they're trying to get it. Okay? Why? I mean, I get people needing attention or wanting attention. Nobody likes to be alone. Nobody likes to be left
So
out.
why
but
did you never get a tattoo?
I almost did.
You almost did.
I almost did. I almost did back in the 80s in California. I was going to get the Blackhawks Tomahawk C on my shoulder. And then I just decided not to. I was like, I don't want to do that. And I never did. And then,
How about you?
You know what? I started out with in the Navy Reserve, and you couldn't have visible tattoos
Really? In
Yeah.
the Navy?
in the Navy. You had to have
You
them
can't
covered
even
up.
have an anchor?
No, you could if you were out in public in a uniform, you could not have that showing.
I didn't know that.
And most police departments, up until a number of years ago, same rule. If you had a tattoo, it had to be covered. If you had a tattoo on your neck, they wanted you wearing a dickie so that it was covered.
Wow.
They had all these rules.
Now you can't. Now they
Don't. Now it's all over. But the fact was, so to me, it was just a self-discipline thing. I didn't see any advantage to doing it, and that was.
I mean, I almost got the Bears wishbone C on the other shoulder.
I always envisioned myself as a possible actor, and the only films I thought I'd be capable of acting are those ancient Steve Reeves kind of films, where you're playing a caveman.
The bad Greek gods.
Yeah, or something like that. And those guys never had tattoos, so I figured if I had a tattoo, I could never star in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like some people just get they get obsessive with it. It's got to they got one, and then they got to get another one, and then they got to augment, and they got to.
Well, then you don't know what to do. I mean, I saw a woman in Wisconsin Dells. Okay, we were ready to get on a ride with the kids, right? She's covered head to everywhere. There wasn't ears. Maybe had a little less than you would think, but every place else she had it. I mean, in Wisconsin Dells, she's wearing shorts from the bottom of her shorts to her ankles.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and looking and looking, and because it was fascinating, right? It was maybe 2 decades ago. And she turns around and looks at me and she goes, "What are you looking at?" And I said, "A comic book." I said,
So,
"I can't believe I'm looking at a walking comic book. I'm trying to read it."
As an offshoot, tattoo artists, as I understand it, and we knew one that was really good, Spider, who passed away a few years back. But it's my understanding that tattoo artists are very, very protective of their ink. Ink is everything in the tattoo industry,
Right.
and not only is your artistry, but it's your ink, because that's what makes your colors stand out. Ink is not regulated by the FDA.
Right.
And they're finding out that they're
not healthy.
thinking that there is a big correlation between the ink and a lot of medical issues that are affecting people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that have a lot of these
Later
tattoos.
on in life.
Yeah, a doctor friend of mine, I can't remember which disease he said is really kind of popping and they're more and more they're thinking it's the ink and tattoos.
And that was one of the reasons.
Scary stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the reason why with the military, they wouldn't allow it when you went into ports like in Thailand or in the Philippines, because they would come back with infections from the needles.
Because they'd
And
use the same needle.
Right. And then what happened is that could lay up a whole crew.
Yeah.
And so that was the big issue with the leadership, the officers, was the fact that they didn't want to hang up their crews.
They had enough.
That was it.
Yeah, my dad was in the Navy. My dad was a signalman in World
Well,
War
I
II.
can almost
But
understand tattoos.
he got malaria, and that's what they were worried. They were worried about malaria and all kinds of other diseases. They certainly didn't need
Whoever
those.
told a woman that a nose ring is attractive?
I don't know. There's
mean-
a lot of women that have
But
them, and
whoever told women that earrings are
Well,
attractive?
earrings is one thing.
Well, why?
But
No,
you don't
to-
blow
that-
your
that was my
you don't
point.
blow your ears, okay? You do blow your nose, and it hangs on that little, and you get a little drip in here.
Yeah,
and-
but
Well,
there are
Danny,
cultures that droops the
you're just an old
earlobes.
guy. Earrings are okay, but nose rings out. You're just an old guy that just refuses to accept
I don't
the
know.
new America.
I don't know. I can't do
Go
a
my
nose
Bobby.
ring. No, I can't. I look at a nose ring and I go, oh my God.
I don't find them attractive at all. I don't find the lip thing. I was like, how do you eat? How do you eat? How do you
kiss?
wipe
How
your
about the
mouth
one on
and
your
everything?
tongue?
Oh, I don't even want to think about that one. Okay.
I am seeing that
I get
more and more.
vasovasoral.
I'm not kidding.
Anybody
you.
that's got weird piercings, let us know why.
We'd love to know. I mean, I saw 2 different women today with tongues pierced.
Oh,
And that's been popular for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
what's it supposed to do? I mean, give your sexual partner a rise or something?
Some people believe so. It's another form of Some people say it's a form of sadomasochism. Okay, piercing your clitoris, piercing your
so
penis.
let's get a little bit back on topic.
Well, you got something going on.
I was gonna say I had an ex-girlfriend that had a tongue piercing, and I remember it smacked one of my teeth one time, and I about had a stroke. I was like, I can never have that happen again. It put chills down my back. I was like, I mean, it just
Electric
smacked it so
shock.
hard. Oh man, I was like, never again.
You wanted to get back.
All right, let's get back to some of the pros and cons about people identifying. Tom's point earlier was that if they want to identify as something weird and abnormal, as long as it doesn't affect him, it shouldn't affect him, and he doesn't care. Okay, and libertarians across the world should not care. So I think there is a problem in identification, especially when it comes to gender. Okay, and that the impact on that is mostly going to be in public restrooms. If you have to do something about that, one way or another. All right, and I think it's not going to be too long in the future where there's going to be a unisex prerogative in most schools, in most public places.
There actually is now. I'm seeing it.
I actually think this whole transgender thing has peaked, and I actually think
Oh, it probably is.
and it's starting to come down. I think it got so out of hand, and at some point, people stood up and said, "No, we're not playing this game anymore. This is not right. You're not doing this." There's a lot of people making a lot of money off of people that have mental health issues, gender identity issues, okay, and they're finding out that people that do transition, that do have the surgeries, they don't make them feel any better.
No.
Okay, they really don't.
Well,
okay,
they didn't treat the depression
the
that
suicide rate
started
is
in the
still
first place.
is still higher
It's higher than it should be.
and it's higher than the average out there for people that are.
Well, you do quote some
transitioning.
studies, without naming the studies. You give the generalization. I would like to see the studies done, on what would actually be the percentage of people that would get into the cross-dressing and into the self-mutilation, if you want to call it that, for identity purposes. I
don't know
don't
if
think
you're
there's been any research on it, real research.
Because I think a lot of it is social construct. Okay, I'll give you two examples. I have a friend of mine who's a female OBGY.
Yeah.
She had a 13, 14-year-old girl come into her office that is having horrible, horrible menstrual cramps. And the little girl's response was, "Oh, I'm just going to transition. I'm not going to put up with this."
Yeah.
That was her way of dealing with the issue.
Feeding her.
Well, no, that was because
she wouldn't know about transition if somebody didn't explain it to her.
But it's out there, Danny. That's
Well,
what I'm
okay.
It's out there. Kids are talking about it.
So you need to talk to her and say that's not going to happen.
Well, that's what she did. But my second point was I was listening to a child psychologist, 35 years in the industry. She said, up until 5 years ago, I had one case that I could tell you was a transgender issue. She goes, now it's 30% of my practice.
So it's an epidemic.
So it's
Can
a
you get her to
social
come here on?
construct.
I would
No,
love to talk to her.
I would.
I know you think this is a dive to bring her
No,
woman
but
to-
I wouldn't know where to find her. Or, I hear things on the radio and I listen to people and I
If
wouldn't
you're a
remember.
PhD FUD out there in psychology, especially child psychology, and you're willing to go on this show, we've got a bunch of questions for you. Anyway.
So I think it's peaked. I think it's coming down. It was a trendy thing to be for a kid. You wanted to be a hippie, that was trendy. You want to get a tattoo, that's trendy. It's trendy now to transition. It's a trendy thing.
It's trend, and it's about trends. And so, in talking about what we're going to do next week, if we can just
Yes,
address that
let's
a
do
minute.
that.
We've talked about the past. We're talking about the here and now. I'd like to explore where we see this world's going to be in the next 10 years. Is the hard right going to be driving it? Is the hard left? Are we going to come back to the middle? And where are we going to go? What are we going to look at? Are we going to be more self-disciplined? Are we going to even be more identifying individual? I think that's kind of what's going to the 10 years.
I think it's a great topic for next week.
I think it's good too. I would, my approach to it, to give you a heads up on next week, is instead of looking at it as right and left, I would look at it as democratic versus authoritarian.
Okay. Now we're going to have
Why,
to talk
wait.
definitions.
Why is yours democratic and the other one is authoritarian?
Well, democratic, small d, okay, meaning populist, okay, versus autocratic. Ruled by people versus ruled by a few.
Okay, well, maybe let's I mean, that's a better way to say it
Thank
than
you.
to use that term. And that,
Thank you.
your explanation is good. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
now-
democratic small d means exactly what I said.
Well,
You
okay,
want to
makes
know
me
that?
nervous.
The
Makes
Greeks
me
invented
nervous.
it.
Yeah, no, you keep
You give me a rash.
You keep giving us credit, and we'll take it. Thank you. But it's the kind of the way you put it. Most people, when they see Democratic,
They
they
would
think
think
about a political
party.
party.
Right.
Right. Right.
It's not the party.
It's like,
Yeah.
social democrats. What really
It's
are
not that
social democrats?
Well, that means
It's kind of like we're trying to fluff them up as being Democrats when they're really not. But the Democratic Party is kind of.
Well, they're taking-
But
well,
if
they
you-
made the
you
tent
know what
bigger.
a social.
The
I'll
tent is
tell you what
bigger
a
than
social
accommodating.
democrat is.
What is it?
It's somebody who is actually voted on by people that they represent in reality, instead of the representatives that we have now that are redistricting so that all they can do is get like people to vote for them. Redistricting, whether it's by Democrats or Republicans, is the scourge of this nation.
Gerrymandering?
Gerrymandering, redistricting is the same thing.
Right.
Okay. I would say that at this point in time, we should have enough mathematicians in this country and computer experts that can pinpoint where 22 representatives would be the center of the population if you took the state of Illinois and said divide it up into 22 like representatives and put the center in each one, and that would be the
Yeah, but we got
district.
funny computers that can draw all kinds of funny looking pictures, and that's what we have. We have dumbbells for districts.
No. No, it's being.
You're confligating things.
Yeah.
To me, Dan.
No,
you really are, because what
They
we're talking
changed the
about.
redistricting to account for race.
But we're not. But
They
we're
wanted to make
talking
sure
about,
Maywood was in on in a district that they wouldn't get subordinate to
A
Elmhurst.
party needs a platform. Republicans have a platform. Democrats had a
The
platform.
Republicans hadn't had a platform since Trump. Show me the Republican platform.
But it was real simple. The last election was real simple, the platform. No more illegal immigration, cover up our borders, strengthen up our military, get rid of the waste. That's
And
the platform.
remember this other one, the big one, the first one?
Which is?
Get rid of Obamacare and get another health care plan. Where is that health care plan?
They don't have it
6
yet.
years ago, this guy said he'd have it in 2 weeks.
Well, first
Where
of-
is it?
okay.
Where is it?
Okay, Danny, hang on.
Okay.
First of all, 6 years ago or 8 years ago when Trump got into office, nobody wanted to deal with him, even the Republicans. So nothing was going to happen. Okay? Nothing was going to happen.
So they got an epiphany?
No, but everybody, and I think the Democrats would have to agree that Obamacare really hasn't worked, because health insurance costs have skyrocketed since
Only now?
since its full implementation. No, because when they passed Obamacare, a lot of the major things didn't go into effect until 2022 or 2023.
Right.
Okay, so when it finally kicks in, and now we're into year 2, 3 of the actual mechanisms of Obamacare working, everybody's costs are going through the roof. It's
So
not
instead
working.
of going something
Here's-
better
hang
and
on,
do a
hang
single
on.
payer system for everybody,
I'm
you
not-
go
I'm not
into
trying-
nothing.
I'm not going to try to solve that problem here and now. What
You'll
I am
never
going to
solve
tell
it.
you is this.
Yeah.
I don't think the issue is the healthcare. I think what needs to be given an enema and restarted is the insurance industry.
Yes.
It's the insurance industry that is
Well, you won't
causing
find
and that's
all
an
of that.
unbelievable engine
You
for
won't
money.
find anybody
It's a money engine.
exactly the point.
supporting
The
them.
insurance companies control everything. Okay, and I think that would be a great subject for another day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
wanna bury
already
that.
brought
I
that
don't-
up twice now,
No, I don't think
right?
so. No, I don't remember that.
And
We
I
got
think-
we got any talkers?
Just got John chiming in. He mentioned that Danny D has a Prince Philip piercing, but don't tell anyone. Oops.
He has a what?
Prince Philip piercing.
Yeah, and then he just mentioned earlier when you were talking about tattoos, you said a generation or two, and he just chimed in that it actually goes back 30,000 years, which, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does. Totally agree.
I didn't catch that. What is 30,000?
Tattoos have gone back
yeah.
a long time. It was a way to identify tribes, mostly.
No, I
And we saw that with gangs in Chicago.
in fact,
I mean, as police, you
what I
got the
what I
tattoo,
said
you got
was
the gang.
the recent decades we've seen a proliferation.
Yeah. No.
Okay, not that tattoos have all of a sudden been here. All of a sudden we see people with ankles to tits tattooed. Okay, I mean it's just
The tits are here, or what?
No, I mean the tits.
Well, the women he knows are.
Yeah, okay.
But that's just in your local culture here in America. I mean, parts of America. I mean, you go out to Hawaii, like they've been getting tattooed head to toe
Samoans have been doing
forever.
it for ages. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
well, I can only talk about here because I'm not in Samoa.
I mean, they, Cowboys branded each other just like they branded the Bulls. So, I mean, it's crazy.
Cowboys branded each other.
Oh, they were at times that was a mark.
Did you watch Yellowstone?
Oh yeah,
No.
no, that's
No,
what,
I haven't.
but they truly did that among
did?
certain things.
No, I have never watched
So
Yellowstone.
it was.
All right. Well, we started late. We're trying to end on time.
All right, so
Unless you got
what are we
something
doing
else.
next week?
The future.
the future.
The future.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to take a look at the crystal ball and see the future.
know what
I know
I'd
the
like-
song already.
I'm
You
going to
know
have a
what I'd
crystal
like
ball
you
here
guys
at the
out
table.
there in the viewing audience to come up with? A segment next week that we'll devote to what would you do if you were the president? Okay, that's the future, right?
Or just give us a topic.
yeah,
Just pick a topic that you guys might think would interesting that we can banter about.
yeah, something
Yeah.
that interests you.
All right.
All right, dudes. So, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.